welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 254. We are on the road recording, and what I mean by that is I am using my PodTrack P4 Zoom portable audio device here, and I just loved using it when I'm like away from my home because it just makes me feel so cool. Like, look at me recording on the go or away from home. You know, it's just so awesome. And just obviously this is something that is more of a personal problem, but I just feel proud of myself. So I wanted to share that there was some issues with starting to record. Like I was hearing some static, and then I troubleshoot and figured it out. And here we are recording. I know this episode is late, but we are still here. And we have still managed to release it on the same day. But let's get into these topics. So there is a debate on Twitter about whether or not an ice cream date is appropriate for a first date. And you know, many of the feminist Twitter users are like, you don't know your worth if you accept the ice cream date. And, you know, you're basically a bum bitch if you would accept a man's proposal to go get some ice cream for a first date. And here's my thought on this, okay? I feel like under any circumstance, though, like an ice cream date can be appropriate, especially it depends on the day. Like, I think ultimately your goal when you go on a date with someone is to get to know the person, right? And it's not about the luxurious things, the high life, unless that's the life that you are solely pursuing. Meaning, like, if you are a gold digger, if you are a woman who only cares about those things, then of course an ice cream date is not favorable to you. But if you are someone who likes to have genuine conversations, likes to spend time, quality time with someone, an ice cream date doesn't matter. Like, I feel like an ice cream date is the most appropriate. Even a picnic date. I had a picnic date before and I enjoyed that. That was a nice date. Like, I just don't see the big deal. Now the question is whether it's appropriate for a first date. And I've read some responses like, well, you know, I want to do it on a first date. It's more of a I've been dating you for a while type of thing, or it's more of a, you know, after the dinner, we go and get some ice cream. I get those arguments. Sure, I understand that. But I also understand the scenario of it being a hot day outside. I want to spend time with you. This is a cute, lighthearted, fun date to have with someone whom I'm just meeting. And I could get to know this person on this kind of lighthearted date enough so that I could decide if I want to have a longer date with that person, a more formal date with that person, yada, yada, yada. So I just feel like a lot of these women on these social media streets are straight bugging, just straight acting like I don't leave the bed if it's less than $10,000 type of time. Shout out to Naomi Campbell. Like, that is this like persona they're presenting online. Like, they're so bougie, they're too good for anything less than $10,000. That is like, first of all, find me the man who could afford that for you. And not just afford that, but is willing to spend that on you. But it started off with someone deciding to post a screenshot of a text exchange. Of course, this always happens online. So, child. But anyway, so someone decided to post a screenshot of a text message they had with someone they recently met. From the context of this text, it seems like they recently met this person and maybe they've been exchanging texts for a little while now, and maybe even phone calls also. And he finally conjured up the energy and the bravery to ask her out on a date, which seems to be the first date. So let me start off from the beginning. So it starts off with the man saying, hey, this is Vance, smiley face. So this already tells me that they just recently met, like probably a day or two ago at a coffee shop maybe, and they had a good exchange, and he asked for her number. She said yes, and he decided to follow up, and this is what he says. Hey, this is Vance. Her response says it all for me. And if I was a man, I would kind of, maybe I'm too sensitive, right? But I would kind of look at that as, she's probably not that interested, you know, or, oh, she's giving me just kind of the cold shoulder. I just would think that she's not as intrigued or interested. Maybe it's just me, but let me hear what y'all got to say. So he says, hey, this is Vance, smiley face. Her response is hi, and a smiley emoji. That's it. Now, I don't know. That feels kind of short to me. Hi. Why not? Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Or hey, exclamation point. You know, not too much on the exclamation points, but give me more than a hi. And a hi is the lowest form of hello. Hi is the lowest form of hello. If you say hi to me, I already know that you don't want to talk. I already know you don't want to talk. I already know you're not that interested. Nothing. Because why don't you continue it off? Just like when someone greets you in person, they say, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? There's usually an attachment to the hello, not just hi. Because at this point, keep your hi to yourself. So she says hi, smiley face, emoji in particular. He says, hope you've had a good day. So I'm assuming that this is later on in the day. Hope you've had a good day. I'm excited for tomorrow. I can pick you up, but if you're not comfortable with that, we can just meet there. I don't know why, but I'm feeling like getting some ice cream in this hot weather. LOL. So now let's unpack this. Okay, so from the context of his text, it seems like they've already agreed upon spending time together in person the following day. He is sharing his excitement for that time, and he is now discussing the arrangement of how they should meet. He's offering to pick her up. He also suggests that, hey, I know, you may not feel, some women may not feel comfortable being picked up nowadays. So it's totally fine if you want to just meet me there. Either way is fine. I just want to let you know that I am willing to pick you up if you are okay with that. The last sentence I don't really like. And again, I know I said earlier, like an ice cream date is not a big deal. I don't think it's like a red flag. But what I don't like about the last sentence is it sounds unsure. I don't like a man who is unsure. If you're gonna ask me out on a date, if you're going to propose something to me, I want you to be declarative. Make a point, make a stance, have an itinerary printed out. Be exact, be confident. Don't start off any sentence to me and you're a man and you say, I don't know why. You don't know why what? And typically when people say, I don't know why, they do know why. And he actually reveals the why towards the end of his statement. Because what he says here is, I don't know why, but I'm feeling like getting some ice cream in this hot weather. That's your why. It's hot outside. You want some ice cream. That's completely plausible. That makes sense. That's why you want ice cream. This whole like starter sentence of people saying, I don't know why. People would be like, no disrespect. And then they disrespect you. Or, not to serious us out, and then they serious us out with the later part of the sentence, with the latter part of the sentence. That's the same thing with this starter, with this a qualifier. It's like, I don't know why. And then he answers, he gives us the why. You do know why. It's hot as hell outside, and an ice cream stop is pretty understandable as to why you want to go. So anyway, so he says, I don't know why, but I'm feeling like getting some ice cream in this hot weather. And he shares a sweaty emoji and ends it with the LOL. I also don't like my men to say LOL too much. Don't LOL me down. I mean, like, what's so funny about that statement? Just say, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by unsure. I'm not saying you can't LOL. I'm just saying, like, if you're making a proposal, why are you laughing out loud? What is the joke? And here she comes. Here she comes with her response. Now, I always like to look at the time frame for each text message to see how long did it take for a response to be had. And you know, just like what's the length of time? You know, was there a dull moment? Was it a quick response? Did she think it over, or was she just impulsive in her response? It doesn't show here at all. It doesn't share at all the timestamp. She cut that part out, or like she didn't. You can't really screenshot that because you got to hold the screen down and it's too much. So anyway, her response is, sorry if this may come off as, that's another qualifier. Sorry if this is rude. It's about to be rude. Here we go. Sorry if this may come off as rude, but is a clear indicator that everything that I said before is null and void. So she says, but I don't do ice cream dates. Period. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and a date like that seems like the absolute bare minimum for me. Meeting up would be a waste of both of our times since we probably don't have the same vibe. Best wishes. And his response is cool. And the emoji that he leaves is you know, that emoji face with the sunglasses. That's what he ends off his cool with. And he probably feels so embarrassed. He came off very excited. Obviously, he's saying that he's excited for tomorrow. And though he ends off his initial text message talking about let's do ice cream, her response is completely rejecting of that. And despite his excitement that he showed before, he's now too cool to continue the conversation. Because I feel like if you a real nigga, someone who is not afraid of rejection, someone who could get back up again even after she says something like this, you would say, because even though she says, sure, meeting up will be a waste of time because we don't have the same vibe, even though that may seem like and also she ends off with the best wishes, even though that may come off like she doesn't really care to continue this, like she's so turned off by your suggestion of an ice cream date, I feel like if you were a real man and you was really about that action, you would say, oh, that's no problem, we could go out somewhere else. How about a dinner and a movie? You know, like the typical stuff that a woman of her caliber, it seems like, would be more interested in. So like, oh, how about let's go to the steakhouse that's in downtown, you know? So I think if he were to try again, or, you know, just come off harder, she would probably be a little bit more open to even trying it out. But the fact that she immediately said no, or said that this is not her vibe, and kind of ended it off on some, you know, I wish you well type of thing, he just chopped it up and decided to walk off. And I feel like that's a punk move, but I think it's for the best probably, because she is probably right. They don't have the same vibe, because just by that alone, his response or lack thereof is enough to let me know that he didn't really have the same game or same vibe that she is interested in. So I think about just the ice cream date in particular. Like, what's wrong with the ice cream date? Now, is it? I don't know. I just don't see it as a big deal. Like, I don't think it takes away from someone's worth or identity, or you don't respect me as a woman, as a 20. Like, there's so many funny ass tweets that I decided to retweet or repost. Yeah, retweet, because it's just so funny. Not necessarily because I agree with it, but there was one tweet that I retweeted that said, I ain't going on no motherfucking ass ice cream date. Is this 1915? Like, ice cream dates are only acceptable in 1915 or just in that era. It's just hilarious to me. Like, first of all, cut it out. There's a lot of ice cream parlors. Let's go on a drive-in movie theater. But here's the thing. A lot of these old school quote-ass dates are acceptable nowadays. Like, they're doing a lot of resurgence of these old school trends. So the whole drive-in movie theater thing, that was a thing that started back in the day in the 50s, 1950s. And it has done a resurgence since I've moved to Houston in 2018. So for this to be so cute, it's like repackaged in a way that you are excited if someone asks you out on a dine or an outdoor movie date. Like, that's a cute date. It's a cute idea. It's fun. You could take pictures there. It's just a cute vibe. The aesthetic is very pleasing. So again, I think a lot of these dates may have a comeback because of just how things are repackaged nowadays. But honestly, it seems like they didn't have a vibe. Because it starts off with the hello. If your hello to me is a hi, I am gonna look at that as, okay, she's probably not that interested, and she didn't even say, oh, I hope you're having a good day too, or I don't know. And maybe he could have started off on some, hey, how's it, like, maybe he could have like loop her up a little bit. Hey, how's it going? How's your day going? And she answer, and she hopefully ask him back, how's your day going? And there could be some type of vibe from that, but I don't know. And then there's some people saying it's just a cheap, low budget date, and it shows the woman that you're either broke or that you don't care to spend enough money on her. And again, I think we're looking at things so matter of fact that it's really not like that. Like, I feel like Drake could take out his potential boo on a quote unquote cheap date, and it's Drake. Obviously, he has money, but maybe, I don't know. I just feel like we have to stop judging people by one action or just the appearance of an action when you don't know his bank account. You don't know how much he brings home. You don't know his expenses. You don't know if he has, another savings account, another account here, another account. It's just so judgmental. And yes, I don't think they had a vibe just based off of the initial text. I just feel like ultimately girls who do this, they miss out on a blessing. They do, because he could have been a genuine guy. He could have been a man who really enjoys conversation, and the next date could have been something more elevated. Just because we start off on a quote unquote cheap, low budget date doesn't mean the rest of the dates will be like that. I don't know, maybe I'm a broke bitch. But again, a lot of these women nowadays are so, what's the word? Just high maintenance. And, words like bare minimum, like what? Me taking the time out my day to want to spend time with you, regardless of what context, that's not bare minimum. Time is of the essence. He could have been purposely not making any intention for her, not making any time for her, not caring to check in, just wanting to text here or there and not be consistent, never making plans to see in person. You know how many times I've spoken to guys and it would just be a text conversation? A text conversation. Or I would speak to guys and I remember when I used to do the whole online dating thing, and we'll start off on the app and it will only be in the app when we talk. There will be no progression to, hey, here's my actual phone number. I would love to give you a call, or, vice versa. So, child. Anyway, so stuff like that is just so silly to me. It's so silly because you can't predict your life with someone just based off of one occurrence. Anyway, there's a lot of entitlements that women have been conditioned to have, and it takes a lot of unlearning to realize that this is so silly. It's so silly because you can have a really good time with someone and you're sitting outside and that's your first date. You guys took a walk on the beach and it lasted for 6 hours. There are dates when they last for longer than you thought it would. And that's simply because you're having a good time with this person. The person is engaging in great conversation with you, is open and vulnerable with you. You're laughing, you feel seen and heard, you feel safe with that person. And it starts off with a conversation. And typically those conversations are had when you are on a date that is low maintenance, like a picnic, like a walk on the park, like a beach date, like a ice cream date. These are all great dates to have with someone whom you are genuinely trying to get to know and build with. So this whole he popped champagne for me and it's like, okay, cool. He did all of that, but did he listen to you though? Did y'all have a good conversation? Did y'all actually listen to each other? Oh, does he know the job that you work? Did y'all even does he even know your middle name yet? Did y'all even talk? Or were you guys just playing footsie under the table and you were just so impressed and blinded by the spades? What's that? Ace of Spades alcoholic bottle that he brought out to the table. It's just, again, we are so twisted sometimes, us as women. And I know not, there are men listeners, so shout out to the male listeners. But I'm just saying, as a woman, I could see the twisted mindset that we have when it comes to what matters. And it's not all of this frilly name brand, those things are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those things don't matter in a sense of you wanting it just for your own collection. I think it's fine. I've grown to accept that, no, you can have nice things as far as luxurious items and still be a genuine person. I think I've finally opened my mind to that. I'm just saying, oftentimes women would only judge you on that and think your worth is dependent upon how many bags can you get me, how many 5-star, we gotta stay at a nice hotel though, but the point is some things are just not a priority, and we've been conditioned to believe otherwise, and that is why so many of us are not where there are so many women out here who are just still waiting for that perfect person. And it's he's not out there. I promise you he's not out there. He's not out there. What I mean by that is your person is right in front of you and you're so focused on this fictional character that you can't even see him because he's not wearing a Rolex. Child, I'm just so grateful for what I got and just the caliber of a person he is. He's great. So let's move on. Okay, so Britney Spears is wilding out. God bless this woman. I don't know what else needs to be said. I don't know if we could sign a petition for her to be back on her conservatorship because she is unhinged. So Britney Spears is apparently a big time basketball fan. Who knew? She's actually married to someone, and I think because of him, she is very interested in basketball and the players. So there is this basketball player, this NBA star named Victor Wembanyama. My apologies if I'm saying that incorrectly, but this is his name, and he was recently in Las Vegas. And Britney Spears happened to be there also. I guess she was following the game and decided to attend this game in particular. She somehow was able to get very close to him, which I already think is very weird. Like, how did you know where he was going to be? And why did you think that it would have been appropriate for you to walk up to him? I don't know. Maybe she thought, because I'm Britney Spears. But the way that she walked up to him was on some groupie type of level. So in the footage, and this happened in July 5th, Spears appears to approach the San Antonio Spurs player and tap him on the back, prompting Damian Smith, who is Wembanyama's security, to physically push her hand away. Britney Spears took to Instagram to slam criticism against her. She said that in her response online, she was like, she heard people talking smack about her and that people were saying that she deserved to be smacked and that security was just doing their job and protecting their client. Her defense is that she obviously is a big star herself, and she has been around big stars also. Like, she gave the example of when she was around NSYNC closely because she was dating Justin Timberlake, and I think before even that relationship came about, they were already just in that same group together, like just always like attached together. She says, quote, "My security not one time touched them or even came near them." Meaning, like, so whenever fans got so close to her and whenever she saw fans get close to other big time celebrities, she never noticed the security person touching the fan in a way that was physically aggressive. She says, quote, "I didn't appreciate the people saying I deserve to be hit because no woman deserves to be hit." She claimed that she received a private apology at her table 30 minutes after the incident, but she has yet to be given a public apology. So Victor, the basketball player, he said that he wasn't fully aware of what unfolded at the time. Quote, "One person was calling me. That person grabbed me from behind. I didn't see what happened because I was walking straight and they told me don't stop." He added that he didn't realize who the person involved was or how much force his security used. "I didn't know for a couple of hours," he added. "I thought it was no big deal." So Victor is a super young kid. I know he's super tall and people may think, because he's tall, he knows stuff. I don't know. But this kid is 19 years old. Fair to say he does not know who Britney Spears is. Fair to say? I think it's fair to say. This man is 7'5", a freak of nature. That's what he is. He is 7'5". That is freaking disturbing. It's a little scary. Where is he from? Is he from the same place where Justin is from Married at First Sight? Like, where is he from? He's 19 years old, you guys. I don't think he even knows a Britney or a Spears. Never mind together. Like, what? So I feel like had she successfully tapped him and he turned around and saw her, he wouldn't have been like, "Oh my gosh, you're Britney Spears." Like, does he even know her songs? Like, I think there aren't any new mashups of her songs nowadays. you know how a lot of these older songs are now refurbished from what they were into a new remix by a newer artist? I have yet to hear a refurbished song of Britney Spears. Not Toxic, not One More Time, not any of that. So I feel like he really has no idea who the hell she is. Oh, he's French. So something about his French genes resulted to him being 7'5". That is insane. So yeah, I don't think he knows who she is, and it probably would have been a fail if he did turn around and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm Britney Spears. I'm such a big fan." Maybe he would have just been like, "Oh, thank you for being a fan," but I don't think he would recognize who she is. So shout out to Britney Spears. She's just, I don't know, man. I wish her well. I'm really sorry to see how she has turned out. It's really disappointing that she is just not in her right mind. And this was before, I mean, she's always been, not always, but for a very long time, she has been under her conservatorship. And for those who may not be familiar with what that is, let me just type that in, conservatorship. It's basically when you are under the enslavement, really, of your parents who are making big time decisions and even little decisions in your life for your everyday.
We are back. We had some tech issues. I had to get some new batteries and everything got fixed. So here we are continuing the conversation about Britney Spears. So for more than 13 years, pop star Britney Spears was under the conservatorship of her father, who is also known as Jamie Spears. And that was a long time in which she was under his care or strict dictatorship, however you want to name it. And as you guys know, just in recent years, she has since been released from that conservatorship. But her behavior since then makes one question if this was the right choice. Or maybe two things can be true, right? Maybe she should have been released from the conservatorship. Maybe her father was not the best guide for her and the relationship was troubled. And maybe she still needs help, right? Maybe she still needs to get proper care so that she looks wilding out, y'all. Like, I just feel sorry for her. I don't know what's going on. Maybe this is a cautionary tale to not have your kids be in the industry because this could be a potential outcome. But God bless. Let's move forward. So up next, let's talk about this movie called Sound of Freedom, which is seen as a QAnon conspiracy propaganda type of film, according to the left-wing party. So this film is about child sex trafficking and how a CIA, is he a CIA? Let me see. Hold on 1 second. A CIA person named Tim Ballard, who is known for his work in freeing child sex trafficking victims. He is an American hero, honestly. But if I just title, okay, look what just happened. I just went on Google and typed in his name. And the first thing I see is he is an American anti-human trafficking activist, which is great. Okay, cool. An author and conspiracy theorist. So immediately right there, they end off with a descriptor that would immediately find him dismissed from the masses because of how people perceive conspiracy theorists and the mumbo jumbo they say. They don't take them seriously. They feel like they're just delusional. And now all that he has done is now wiped away, considered a joke because he is now described as a conspiracy theorist. And this is unfair. This is not right. He has worked as a special agent, undercover operator for the United States of America, specifically in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for 11 plus years. So you would think he would get the credit that he deserves, but nope. Wikipedia says he is a conspiracy theorist. Like, what? Anyway, the movie Sound of Freedom is about his journey in making sure that he could rescue as many children as possible from the child sex trafficking ring that is rampant within the United States, as well as countries nearby, or just countries just around the world, including Haiti, including Colombia. The list goes on. And instead of this being a non-bipartisan issue, it has now become a smear campaign against anyone who cares to support this movie, because now you are seen as a QAnon conspiracy theorist and you're not taken seriously. And it's actually a slap in the face. You know, like, the goal here is to make sure children are protected, right? They are the protected class in America, in the world, and that should be that. But because of how politicized this world is, and for a specific reason to that, the reason is many people who are in the elite, many people who are in the Democratic Party are allegedly taking part in such activity that is disgusting, that is criminal, that is detrimental to the development of a child. So let's get into the critique against this movie called Sound of Freedom that was recently released in theaters, and it stars Jim Caviezel, who is known for his role in The Passion of Christ. According to Fox News, multiple liberal outlets have trashed the new film Sound of Freedom as QAnon adjacent and fit for QAnon in recent days, descriptions that relegate the film about human trafficking to fodder for conspiracy theorists. And this is an independent film. This film was produced by Angel Studios and was released over the July 4th holiday. Because of the backlash that it's receiving, it's now being questioned on whether or not the information that's being told is true. The Guardian did not pull any punches in the review of the movie. Its headline read, "Sound of Freedom, the QAnon adjacent thriller seducing America." Like, what? It is talking about the real life stories of children who have been sex trafficked. How is this a QAnon matter? Seducing America. Like, what are you talking about? By trying to rationalize why the film wasn't as successful over the holiday as it was portrayed in the media. So there's different reports here, because I'm also hearing that the film was successful and that it's so successful that it is a threat for those who are in this type of activity, and those who are in the elite crowd, and those who are in the Democratic Party, who's quick to call this movie a QAnon adjacent thriller. This is seen as a threat for them because they are being exposed, they are being shown into the light, and it's uncomfortable. It stated, "But for a fleeting moment this past 4th of July, while the intended audience of Indy's latest outing was presumably spending time with their families and friends at barbecues or in other social situations, an unoccupied fandom rallied by the star Jim Caviezel claimed the day with a 14.2 million gross versus Dial of Destiny," which I don't know what that is. "No matter that these
figures require selective, almost willfully misleading framing to allow for the David and Goliath narrative trumpeted by supporters, as the copious tweets accusing Disney of being in cahoots with a global cabal of high-power pedophiles make clear. The truth doesn't have too much purchase around these parts. It says the trafficking follows no motivation more elaborate than the servicing of rich predators, a leading, yada, yada, yada. Okay. The point is they're trying to discredit this film. They're trying to make you think that this is just Hollywood stuff. It's not real. They're lying. They're skewing the facts, the statistics. They are misleading you just to engage a larger audience. And this is the problem here. This is why the industry of sex trafficking continues to be $1 billion industry, has it been for several years now. Hotels are in on it. I am in a hotel right now and I am being no, but I've done some research, and who knew hotels, not all of them, but many of them allegedly are a part of the sex trafficking ring. There are tunnels in hotels that are not visible to those who are not a part of the industry of sex trafficking. The hotel, remember Kanika, what's her name? That lady, that young black woman in Chicago who was in a hotel and somehow was found dead in that hotel. The surveillance in the hotel could not explain how she died, what or who killed her. Allegedly, they concluded that she was so high that she walked into a freezer and locked herself in it and died from that. But it's just all so suspicious, right? Oh, I remember that video. That was so what's the word? Like, my body trembled. New details have emerged surrounding the case of Kanika Jenkins, the 19-year-old Chicago teen who was found dead in a hotel freezer back in September, 6 years ago. According to a number of police reports, a worker discovered the teen lying face down on her side inside the industrial walk-in freezer. There were no signs of trauma, but Jenkins did have a small cut on her foot and was missing a shoe. So if we just pause right there, first of all, how does a hotel guest get access to the freezer in the hotel? Right? She doesn't work there. You can't just enter the kitchen area. You can't just continue to not just enter it. You know, it's one thing to walk into the back of the kitchen by accident because, I was looking for the bathroom. But you don't continue to walk through it and then walk through it some more and then open the door and find the freezer. Like, that's not something that is plausible. And I remember hearing the story and seeing that there was no... Actually, okay, so I'm reading this right now, and who knows if this is actually true, right? This could also be a part of the propaganda to not tell the truth. Last week came an autopsy report that revealed Jenkins died of hypothermia from exposure to cold conditions. Along with that came a toxicology report that found alcohol, caffeine, and an epilepsy migraine medication in Jenkins' system. The Cook County medical examiner concluded her death was an accident. It's a strange accident. Maybe it's a freak accident. Maybe I'm wrong. But allegedly, Oprah Winfrey owns 5 levels of that exact hotel. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because Oprah's school for girls in Africa, some country in Africa, had 30 plus girls missing and was never found. Remember that whole time when Michelle Obama and Justin Timberlake was like taking pictures with signs saying, "Save our girls, save our girls." And there was no update on that. Where are our girls? Where are they? I bring that up to say there's a connection there. These people who are in these elite positions in Hollywood have connections, and not just that, but a taste for children. For those who are young, for those who have good blood, adrenochrome, and to traffic them because it is a money-making business. I think Kanika was a victim of that. But let's move forward. I don't know. That's a lot, right? It's a lot to like pack it, right? I get it. It's a lot. It's not the most engaging conversation to have if you're not like an in-depth person. I feel like a lot of people are comfortable with being on the surface, and I get that, right? It's easier to just talk about the weather. It's easier to just talk about the shoes that you're going to wear at the party tonight. But I want to talk about sex trafficking. And I appreciate having these conversations with people who really like to understand the ways of the world. So shout out to Freckles Bay. Because there's only few people, and he's the only one I can think of right now who I enjoy, who actually engage in these conversations with me. But yeah, so child, it's crazy. It's really crazy. And then I also feel like it's a hard pill to swallow, right? And just think about just growing up, being a child, and unfortunately being a victim of assault. And you tell a parent, the parent doesn't believe you. Why is that? Oftentimes, the parent chooses not to believe the child who came to them saying, I was assaulted by my uncle, your brother, or by my brother, your son. Because it's hard to accept that. It's hard to accept that there's evil in your home. It's hard to accept that you raise another child who happens to be a rapist. That's a hard pill to swallow. So yeah, I want to talk about the weather instead. Yeah, I want to avoid and act obtuse on this topic and say, what are you talking about? You crazy. Go to sleep. Right? Or yeah, I want to say something foolish like you asked for it, because I can't even fathom how I raise a child who happens to have raped another child of mine. It's a hard pill to swallow, but let's move on. Another thing. I just feel like, okay, let's move on. New topic. Submarine Titanic billionaire victim's stepson complains about not being able to get laid. This kid, at some point, someone needs to call the police. The way that he is going about his life after the death of his stepfather, after the alleged death, because was anyone even in that submarine when they took off? Do we have any footage of them entering the submarine before they took off? I don't think so. I don't believe anything this media says for the most part. But anyway, the stepson of a British billionaire who was killed on OceanGate's Titan sub has moaned about not being able to get laid despite his inheritance in the wake of the tragedy. And you could tell he's also like, he's on the spectrum. I could spot a spectrum person from a mile away. Brian Cezaz recently reactivated his Twitter account after going silent amid a backlash for flirting with a nearly naked OnlyFans model while rescuers were still searching for the doomed vessel. But he quickly found himself in the midst of a new controversy for new tone-deaf messages on the platform. The 37-year-old audio engineer said in Get Laid, look, he killed his father.
He killed his father. His father is not in that submarine. They concocted the story, and his father's dead by the hands of him, allegedly. Because how is he so quick to talk about this so publicly and do it in a way with such callous nature? He says, with all this cash, I just want a girl to hang out with, please. This reminds me of that kid that I was talking about in the last episode, how he seemed like he was on the spectrum, and he goes to his neighbor's door talking about, I don't have any friends. Do you have any kids my age so I can have a friend? No, I don't. Get out my door. No, I do not. Get out of my door. He is reportedly have to share the inheritance with his sister and his 2 stepbrothers, but I'm sure it is more than enough despite him having to share. His stepfather was killed, allegedly, alongside OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, French explorer Paul Henry Nagolet, and Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Sulman. I mean, rest in peace if all is true. But the point is, I think this guy is just he's asking to be just shitted on from people for his lack of empathy, his lack of just care in the world over his stepfather being dead. Now, maybe he didn't have a great relationship with his stepfather. Maybe so. But I think this level of couth that you must have after someone has died who happens to be your stepfather, allegedly. He wrote, I've honestly never been bothered by mean people on Twitter. I'm originally from New Jersey. We have thick skin. We are a different breed. New Jersey strong. He also said, quit asking for money unless you're a beautiful woman, trans women too, an OF model, OnlyFans, or a black dude trying to go to college. Okay, I gotta go. He added later, F it, I'm keeping my money. Maybe he's trolling us. But I think him being an audio engineer, and no offense to audio engineers out there, I'm really not trying to be offensive, but I think oftentimes those who are on the spectrum, I'm coming for y'all next, right? After I said that, I just realized this is like my 2nd episode consistently talking shit about people who are on the spectrum, and I really don't mean no harm. I really don't. I'm just pointing out an experience that I've seen, a thematic experience that I've seen throughout my life. And oftentimes those who are on the spectrum are working these nerdy jobs. And yes, these jobs are essential. Like an audio engineer, they're so essential. A tech person, they're so essential. But again, oftentimes those jobs are reserved for those who are on the spectrum, whether you're Asperger's, autistic, Downy, probably not Down syndrome, probably not Downy, but for the most part, they're best for them because of the type of personality and behaviorisms they have. It is more fitting for someone in that role. But child, God bless. I'm just here to say, I don't think it happened. Oprah's a part of the child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, and an ice cream date is not that big of a deal. I feel like if you really want to get to know someone, just be open-minded. Go into anything with an open mind. Just going back to that first topic, go into anything with an open mind. Because when you have a closed perspective, you will have no options left over. Just go into things with an open mind and you'll realize how much fun you're having. Just have some fun. All right, you guys, I'll end the episode here. Thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you all next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. If you liked it, leave a review, share, and subscribe. God bless.